It is talk time. Glad to have you back here watching TVC Breakfast. Some Nigerians now share divergent views on the controversy trailing President Muhammadu Buhari's letter to the National Assembly seeking an extension of his vacation.
Now, President of the Nigeria Labour Congress tops the list of Nigerians pleading for understanding from the people, while others query the seeming disquiet about the nature of the president's illness.
Ill health. I think that consideration must be given, because all of us can fall ill at any time, and I think that must be respected, and it should also be allowed to actually have those medical treatment that is required. For me, I think if it is communicated properly, that is what is expected. That communication need to be made properly, and people should be aware, and I think that has been well communicated.
It's our president, and it's a human being like us, so he can go on leave as regard to his health. So there's nothing bad, but it's only that it's taking some times. So that little time is taking. Because at this moment, we are in recession time now. This is the time we need him most. It's supposed to be around.
I believe that the presidency is not telling us the truth. They are not telling us the truth. We really actually sympathize with whoever is sick for that illness. But there's a lot to be done in this country. If he is sick, oh yes, he is sick and he should be treated. No person says he should not be treated. But the situations whereby those that are churning out whatever statement think that the rest of us are not educated is the unfortunate aspect of it. Because when they are out there, they look at us as if they know better than us.
The people should be carried along in whatever thing that is happening with the president. As a matter of fact, the people should be carried along. There is no two ways about it. When Fidel Castro was sick, the Cubans knew his state of health until whatever that happened. So in this case of Nigeria, I think that if it is not there as a constitutional provision, it should be there. And the people who are responsible should take it up.
All right, Nigerians making their comments there about their president. All right, we have joining us here a public affairs commentator or social commentator and a lawyer as well, Dapo Akinonshu. Dapo, good morning. It's good to see you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, fine. Now, let's start it this way. The president fulfilled all the constitutional processes of handing over to someone, at least in an acting capacity, for him to go on leave. From all the reports and all the letters, everything we read in the Senate and all of that. But when it comes to information management, someone talked about, the NLC president talked about proper communication with Nigerians. Do you think there's a proper engagement between the presidency, his illness, what he's doing, and Nigerians?
To a large extent, I believe that has been properly communicated.
Okay.
There may have been different ways of saying the same thing, and you know, when two people are saying the same thing, they're not bound to say it in the same way. But the message that I believe has been passed across is that firstly, Mr. President is out of the country. He applied to go on, he informed us he was going on leave, and also that he will be seeking medical treatment. He has come back to say, I am not finished with this treatment yet. I need some more time. And we have to give it to this president. And since the last 20 years or so of our democracy, there has never been a president that has formally communicated every time he's going out to the legislature that I'm going out for this purpose and writes officially. Most of the time it's done in secrecy, it's done in abeyance, but this president, for good order's sake, has shown that he respects the rule of law and he wants things to be done decently and in order. So if he is not able to come back and some people are giving information about him which is not coming from him, we cannot blame him for the way the information is being communicated. But I believe to a large extent, even the vice president spoke yesterday and he was very clear on it, that the president is undergoing further tests. And until the tests are really carried out and concluded, you cannot say what is wrong with the person. I mean, I'm undergoing different tests. Doctors will say, we're not sure of the cause of this. maybe we want to test your blood, we want to test your urea, and you know, they do all kinds of checks until they can narrow down to what the issues are.
You can't blame the president, but you can blame the handlers? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying you should blame the handlers.
Okay,
I'm saying that the way it is being communicated.
Who is communicating?
No, you see, the way communication comes across, and
yes.
the problem we have is that people choose what they want to hear. A lot of the time, people are looking for faults in what is being communicated. Rather than take the message, they're looking. What does it matter, for instance,
yes.
who says it, or whether he says he has a headache or has a stomach? The most important thing is this man is not well, and that has been communicated. But rather than listen to the message, we're looking for the mistakes and the things that are not said.
But
right.
if there is no crack in the wall, a lizard wouldn't go in. If there was no room for some misgiving and some mistrust in the way the communication has been carried out, people perhaps would misinterpret those messages.
You see, the mistrust is not coming from this administration, definitely not. But Nigerians are dealing with the history of what happened in the Yaradua years. And that is what keeps coming in the mind of most people, that, well, that was kept secret. But in this situation, there's no secret that the man has gone abroad. There's no secret that when he was going, he handed over power to the next. I said, look, I'm going out in the interim. Please let somebody else continue to run affairs. And so I don't think what he's doing there should so much be of interest to everybody at this time.
Let's look at the letter for the extension. Some people have said, okay, the Senate has to approve it. But according to the Constitution, Section 145 is just meant to notify the National Assembly. Is that correct?
Very correct. In fact, all he needed to do was, when he was going to write the letter once, and when he's ready to resume, he writes and says, I've come back to resume. The addition in asking for an extension is just superfluous. It's just a man who wants to be very clear and careful. Otherwise, the Constitution only provides that he should write when he's going, and when he comes back, he writes again to say, I have come back. But knowing that he's not going to come back. Wouldn't that be the product
of specifying the fact that I'm going to be away for so number of days, and by the time so number of days is expiring, certainly you have to write again for an extension?
The Constitution doesn't require that.
Okay.
The Constitution only says when you are going, right, when you come back, write and say you have come back. So, but just out of an abundance of caution, he has also written to say, well, I thought I would be away for so many days, I cannot be back at that time, and I'm writing again out of respect for the system to inform the president.
Okay.
I mean, the president, there's nowhere in the Constitution that says the president needs to apply for leave. It's just to transmit and inform. But the man has come back again to say.
Okay.
All right. Now let's get into this issue. Why are Nigerians generally very agitated by this circumstance of the president's vacation?
It is unfortunate, but we seem to like bad news. And over the years, I find that when there's a problem with the president, Nigerians are generally excited about it. Probably because, one, and I you know, in this administration particularly, I'm sure there are a lot of people who are not happy with the way things are being run. Firstly, because the economy is not moving as is planned, but this has backed up and has been caused by the misrule and misgovernance and the blind stealing of the past years. This is coupled by the crash in the price of the oil, which was our main export. So the man there's no money to operate and run the country as it was done. We have been used to a life of not working hard and living big, which is the bane of most of us, really. We have been rent seekers. We have made money from loot that was distributed amongst all of us. Whether you collected it directly or indirectly, we've all benefited from it somehow. So if we're not getting that again, everybody's worried. And as well, so this man now has a problem. They're kind of happy that, and it's a sad situation. But I know that a lot of people pray for him as well.
Yeah, but is it too much? Is it too much since Nigerians are agitated with the recession? Is it too much for the president?
To be sick?
No. It's not too much for him to be sick. But I mean, but is it too much for him to, apart from the letter, to speak to Nigerians in some kind of way? After all, is out there, well, taxpayers' money. And he was elected to do a job, like Bas rightly mentioned earlier, that he was elected to do a job. So let me just finish. Okay. And the former Deputy Speaker, Austin Okpara, said Nigerians shouldn't be taken for granted. Will it be too much for the president to address Nigerians, even just via audio or some kind of recording? Is it too much for him to do that?
When Mr. President was traveling, he said, I am traveling, I am handing over government to somebody to run, I'm going to rest. Apart from that, he has also said, I'm not feeling very well. I need to go and rest and check myself out. What will hearing his voice do to them that want to hear his voice? The important thing is that, is there a vacuum? He has made sure there's no vacuum. The people he needs to communicate with are saying, we're talking to him. I mean, nobody in government has said, oh, we're not able to reach him where we want to reach him. No. The people who need to speak to him are speaking to him. There's no crisis over communication with him. So what does it matter if he comes on air to come and address us? No, he's on leave. Indeed, it will actually be wrong if he has already transmitted power to somebody else and said, I'm not president, but I am let somebody act in my capacity. Would we have two people speaking as president at the same time? That would be wrong.
Right. Yeah, I think that clears it. So he's not under obligation of any kind right now because the instrument of government has been passed to someone else. Now, let's talk about the issue of disclosure of illness. We've seen a lot of people have said, well, he has to tell Nigerians what is actually wrong with him. If he's not feeling well, if he has headache, let him tell Nigerians he has headache. If he has toenail pain, let him tell Nigerians he has that. And in fact, in the report we played earlier on, someone was making reference to late Fidel Castro of Cuba. When he was ill, Cubans were aware. And in fact, when surgery was being carried on him, part of it was shown on national TV, as the case may be. What situation, how do you address that?
First of all, he cited the case of Cuba. Two American presidents were also ill at some point in time that were not disclosed. One of them had a stroke. And his handlers also decided not, and he had a stroke, but he was still in government office. The other one had, what was this, serious disease as well, and it was not disclosed. And the issue of a person's health, medical report, is a personal thing. And you have to give that to whoever. I mean, I may not want everybody to know what is wrong with me. I'm entitled to some privacy. I mean, if it is something that we need to know, we will know when the time comes. But at this time, if a man is ill, what he needs more is our prayers. His support is to let him even rest.
I saw the presidential aide on media on one of the channels, and they said the issue of prayer. You ask him to pray for you. What is wrong with you? How would I pray? What prayer do you want me to say? And he said, just pray. But anyway, my question.
Not God, it's God that answers prayers.
just pray. You don't need to know what you're praying about. But on this issue, some people will invoke Section 144 of the Constitution, subsection 4, where, okay, the National Assembly should even call the president's physician. If the president won't disclose to the public, but perhaps the National Assembly should know, let the physician come and answer one or two questions. Is that appropriate at this time?
No, certainly not. The Section 144 makes provision specifically is that if he is incapable of carrying out his duties and there is some kind of vacuum, as happened in the last time, then they have to find out by calling physicians and calling a medical panel. But it's a whole medical team, 5 doctors have to be called, and there's a procedure and a process for that. We're not at that point yet, because right now, and one thing I would say, and as we have all seen, Mr. President is someone that respects the rule of law. He has shown clearly that he will follow procedure, and I believe that if at any time he thinks that he's not capable, he knows what to do, and I believe he's somebody who has never taken this country for a ride. He has fought for this country with his blood. He has shown that he's a man of total integrity. You can fault everybody, but nobody has been able to say this man is not straight. And I think that counts a lot for him, the goodwill he has generated.
Your honest assessment. Are we going on a break?
All right, yeah, let's go on a break. We're expecting the Special Advisor of Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, in our Abuja studio to also give clarity to some of these issues and to also speak to Nigerians. But let's go on a break. We'll come back. Stay with us. If you're just joining us, you're watching TVC Breakfast. We are looking at President Buhari's extension of his vacation. And Nigerians have been commenting, they have been saying so many things. There has been divergent views on that, even controversy to some extent as regards what is going on in the presidency and with the president one way or the other. We have with us in the studio Dapo Akinyosun. He is a lawyer, a social commentator. We've been talking about this. We're also expecting the special advisor to the president on media and publicity, Femi Adesina, to join us on this discussion. Certainly, there can't be enough clarity in this because Nigerians are still asking questions. Now, Dapo, let me come to you on this. You have mentioned several times how the president has respect for the system. That has not been put to question by any means. But in a situation where we have a president who has respect for the system, in fact, the government has been championing patronize made in Nigeria good, patronize anything that is Nigerian. One expects that one way or the other, the president would have been in one of the hospitals in Nigeria. There are qualified doctors, qualified physicians, qualified professors in this country.
More so that he campaigned that will not be an issue, that when he becomes president, the issue of medical tourism will be a thing of the past in Nigeria.
So what do you make of that?
I have seen over the years, and you will see that this administration has actually been promoting things to be done in Nigeria. So for him to opt to go out means he's gone through the options and seen that this is not the best time to do this. Without a doubt, we have very good doctors, we have experts in Nigeria, but without the proper tools, investigation cannot be carried out well. For instance, I do know that when you want to do a colonoscopy or something like that, in the kind of equipment they use in the US for it is totally different from what we have here today. And when you're talking about the health of the president, you also have to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward. We cannot afford to make mistakes or a misdiagnosis because we don't have the right equipment. Is his life
more important than the life of the ordinary Nigerian?
Certainly not. Every Nigerian life is very important. However, if he's the leader and he's the one who's giving direction, it is quite important that every step be taken to make sure that he gets the best diagnosis. And what he says is doing their tests. He's not saying there are no doctors in Nigeria. What he says is that there are some tests that need to be carried out, which we may not have the equipment yet in Nigeria. Don't forget that you cannot equip a hospital in 1 year or 2 years when there's no money.
So is it right for the president to relax some rules? You know, there are some pockets of rules in place now that's not really just friendly for people to go out for such medical treatments.
In the first instance, the president is a man who can afford it by himself as a former president to go on this treatment. Don't forget that he has his own income that he has that could afford it. One. Secondly, if you don't have the equipment here and you can afford to go, why not? Nobody says don't go. The issues usually come because we're trying to get foreign exchange to buy and the exchange rate is high, and those are the issues that you could have around it. But there's nobody that says, I want to go abroad for treatment, that has been stopped in Nigeria thus far. So it will not be correct to say, well, he's relaxing a rule for some and not relaxing the rule for others. No. Everybody has a right to go abroad for treatment.
By that rule, can they have access to Forex if you're sick?
And that's what I'm saying, that look, if you can afford it. Many people are sending their children to school abroad today and are not buying and are not getting money from the CBN or at any official rate.
All right.
If you must do it, then look for your source of funds and do it. That's fine.
Okay. You said earlier that there's no vacuum in the system. The baton has been passed to the vice president to act as the acting president. Does he have authority, really? Can he make policy statements behind the president?
He's the acting president, and I believe he has been speaking. I don't know.
Not speaking, policy statement. There are a lot of issues right now. For instance, the CGN, the acting CGN has to be confirmed. With the expiration at the tenure for that period to act just elapsed yesterday. And we didn't hear anything from the acting president. Does he really have authority to do anything, really?
Yeah, I believe he's the acting president, and there's nothing muzzling him or stopping him from doing what he needs to do.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm hearing we now have the special advisor on media and publicity to the president, Femi Adesina, joining us from our Abuja studio. Femi, good morning. I can imagine the kind of pressure you're on now, everyone calling you. Nice to see you. Now, but let me ask you.
Well, it's part of the job.
Yeah, we understand. Let me ask you. You certainly would have heard a lot of things, read a lot of things, seen a lot of things, and watched a lot of things. But in your mind, why do you think Nigerians are apprehensive or agitated about the vacation of the president and even the extension?
Well, two things I have been able to deduce from the entire saga and the scenario that accompanies it. One is that they think it is deja vu, that they have passed through this road before, remembering the Yaradua saga and how they didn't have information. But that is not the same thing with this one. Every information that is necessary is made available. When Yaradua was leaving the country, nobody knew where he was headed, nobody knew for how long. With this one, when the president was leaving on January 19, we said he was going on a 10-day vacation. He will be back at his seat on February 6. With Yaradua, power was not transferred to the vice president. With this one, power was transferred, and we have an acting president. So they are not similar. They are not similar. So people who think it is deja vu are quite wrong. They just need to be able to analyze properly. Then the second thing is that Nigerians have been lied to for so long that they seem to find it difficult to believe the truth when it is told to them. Those are the two deductions I have come to.
Okay, except for this second letter now, the extension, there's no date on it. When will the president resume now? The extension is indefinite, as you mentioned in one subsequent interviews that we saw you.
Yes,
and as a civil servant,
but I can
Femi,
also
please hold
assure
on.
you.
Femi, as a civil servant, even when you go on leave, there is a time lag. You must specify your leave will expire at so date, after a month, after 2 months, but this is just open-ended. Why is that?
Yes, this is open-ended because there is no vacuum in government. There is no vacuum. There is an acting president in place. Therefore, if you talk of a definite date for a civil servant to go and leave and come back, don't forget that even last year, out of 30 days that the president is perhaps entitled to, he didn't take more than maybe 10 days and another 6 days. I'm not sure of the exact number now, but I know he didn't take up his leave for last year. And he's still entitled to another 30 days this year. So it's the country that is even owing the president in terms of leave days. But I can assure that sooner than people think, the president will be back.
All right, Femi, let me stay with you on this. We remember some time ago, sometime last year, the Minister of Health was talking about the possibility of laws that will prevent public office holders anywhere in Nigeria to travel abroad for medical treatment. What do you have to say about that?
Well, currently we don't have that kind of law. We can only talk about what we have. That law does not exist. So anybody that goes abroad for medical attention, no law is broken. Any country that wants to have that kind of law, I think Cuba has it. You find out all the years Fidel Castro was ailing before he eventually died. He had all his treatment in Cuba. There may be 1 or 2 other countries that have that law, but Nigeria does not have it. So anybody who wants to travel out for medical attention is at liberty to do it.
And for moral and perception's sake, the government has been championing made in Nigeria and patronized Nigerian products. We were thinking, because it was a question I asked Dapo here in the studio, but certainly I know you have a clarification since you are with the president, that we're thinking that the president would show an example by certainly being treated in a hospital within Nigeria.
Well, you have to first be alive before you can show example. If you have need of medical attention abroad and you refuse to go because you want to play to the gallery when the law does not require you to do so, then it's up to you. But all I can say is that before he became president, President Buhari had always used the same set of medical doctors who are familiar with his constitution and who have his medical history. I think it just makes sense that they continue to attend to him.
All right, some people have blamed you and a couple of others for not handling or managing the situation correctly when it comes to dishing out information. Former Speaker of House of Rep, Austin Okpara, said, you're taking Nigerians for granted. The Afenifere group said you're economical with the truth. Your reaction?
They have rights to their opinion. I don't begrudge them. They have rights to their opinion.
All right, Dapo, let me come to you on this. You know, when it comes to accountability, Nigerians will always demand that. In fact, citizens anywhere in the world will keep demanding that. Now, when it comes to the ideals, what would have made Nigerians satisfied by the way that government engages?
Please, I didn't quite get that.
I'm asking Dapo here in the studio. We'll come back to you, okay, Femi, shortly.
Yeah, sorry.
What I'm asking is that, in what way, what would have made Nigerians very satisfied by the way government engages and communicates with them?
You know, the real issue, I'm not sure it's the majority of Nigerians that are not happy with the communication. And we need to look at who really is not happy. Of course, there is the opposition who make a lot of noise out of where there are no issues.
Those people, you watched the clips earlier on. Those are ordinary Nigerians. They are not politicians.
They are fed by half information, and a lot of Nigerians don't really gather information. They read the news headlines. Sometimes they hear what other people have said, but never really check the facts. And there's no way you can communicate with people who are not reading all the facts by themselves. And you find this happening a lot in Nigeria, in which, they just heard somebody said, and it becomes the law. And you see that even church is one of the places I see, they don't read the Bible, but they'll say, my pastor says, and that becomes the gospel. Even a lot of the news stories you read, are sensational headlines just for the papers to sell. But the man who's made the sensational heading, puts the real story on that, but they don't read the stories again after reading headlines. So what will make Nigerians happy is if they would only listen to all the facts before judging. For instance, as has been said today, they are unhappy generally because they have been fed with lies. Now they're getting facts, but they're not even taking the facts in.
They still want to question it.
They want to question it. They are happy because there was a vacuum the last time. There's none like that now. So.
All right.
Okay.
Femi, our very last question to you, perhaps, before we let you go. The Vice President is acting, but does he have authority to make policy statement and do something good before the
authority?
Okay, good. He has. Why hasn't the CGN issue looked into? You understand that his tenure in the acting capacity expired yesterday. We didn't hear anything from the acting president. Why is that?
No, yesterday. It expires on February 10.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
It expires on February 10, and before that date, you can be sure something will be done.
Okay. All right.
The acting president has full authority that he can exercise.
Okay.
All right. Femi Adesina, thank you very much. Special advisor to the president on media and publicity. This is the much time can permit us right now. Thanks for coming on the program. Thank you. And Dapo Akinosho, thank you for coming on the program as well.
Thank you.
Right. This is where we come to the end of today's edition of the program. Thank you for spending your morning with us. Tomorrow, we'll be back again with other issues. I am Mike Okwache.
And I am Busola Mitunwashe. Bye for now.